Senators from North Dakota that just got an amendment passed. The bounty on bin Laden's head's now up to $50 million. Throw money at it.
Yes.
And by the way, Rudy Giuliani just hired Norman Podorz, one of the biggest neocons in the country, who just wrote an article a couple of months ago saying we should attack Iran, right?
Well, yeah, you know what else he said? He said it would result in massive death. It would make Iraq look like a cakewalk. And this son of a bitch is promoting that idea.
Yeah, he thought that was a good thing.
And now he is one of Giuliani's
Top
foreign policy aides. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You think it's over? It's not over, okay? If Giuliani wins, it's not over by a long shot.
Giuliani will never win, no offense. But Giuliani will never win because he'll never get the Christian right. The Christian right will have a candidate. They just haven't picked him yet. And they will be very influential. Giuliani will be a player, but he won't get the nomination. That's my opinion.
You know who they're going to go for, it looks like right now, right? Fred Thompson. Why? Because, you know why?
He's an actor.
Because he's a TV
He's
star.
an actor.
Right.
They love Hollywood.
Right. They're trying to
you
reinvent
want to talk about
Reagan.
authentic or inauthentic? Right. They're not authentic at all. They just love the best actors. They're like, okay, he's an actor like Reagan was. Let's go for it.
It's apparently because he's a chick magnet, because one of his ex-girlfriends said he's a soft place to lay. Isn't that really what you want America's women to lay on? Fred Thompson's soft man boobs? Isn't that what you really want in a president?
But the issue of Iraq and Iran, in a way, highlights an issue that nobody's talking about in the media, and that Eisenhower talked about on his way out of office in '61, when he pointed out that we had never had a permanent war machine in the United States before World War II. It had never existed before. It was never in the history of this country had it existed, had there been what he referred to as a permanent armaments industry. And he talked about how we could always convert our industrial productivity into war. We could turn plowshares into swords if necessary. But now we have this new thing. And he talked about how it was going to affect us politically, how it was going to affect us economically, and how it was going to even affect us spiritually. And we have this machine that consumes something in the neighborhood of $300 to $400 billion a year in the United States, whether we're at war or not. And that's an enormous force, and it's going to have its way. And so it seems to me that the larger question is, what do we do about the permanent war machine? And how do we put that on the front of the agenda? Because if the permanent war machine wasn't out there pushing for Iraq and for Iran and for Syria and others that are coming down the road, then maybe there would be some sanity in this discussion. But these people don't come out of nowhere, and they're not funded out of nowhere. And so, there's this question: how do we take seriously Eisenhower's warning? What do we do? Can we unring that bell? And I think one way to do it, frankly, is to shine a bright light on it and watch the rats scurry. But
I think the subtext probably of what we're talking about here, in so many of these topics you brought up tonight, the subtext is failed Republican policy, utterly failed, to the point where the entire planet's in danger now. But we're also talking, I think, the subtext is, where is the Democratic Party leadership that is absolutely needed? We don't need more Republican light. We just don't need it. We don't need people who... We don't need to see that ebb and flow of corporate money. Now, I wish to hell I had some answers. All I have is questions. But I can, like most people in this room, I can spot lies and deception when I see it. And I think what's going on, Cenk has touched on, all of y'all have touched on it. There is so much cowardice in the Democratic Party leadership. They're afraid to say, wait a second, we are the party of no war. Christ almighty, like Cenk said, 70% of the American public says enough of this crap. So why don't the Democrats step up and say, yes, we're the anti-war, anti-occupation, anti-invasion party. And stop the bullshit. I'm so tired of it, Tom. I could eat my own arm. I'm just tired of the bullshit. Aren't you? God!
Well, or the Democrats could go to the next step and say, we're the party of, if you've got to have a war because somebody's come and drop bombs on you at Pearl Harbor, you do it right, you do it fast, and when you're done, you help them put their country back together. and you get out of the way.
Well,
But
I think we need to realize that there are Islamic extremists that do want to destroy America. They do. No, they do. Being in Iraq is not the right policy. Being in Iraq is not the right policy. But we've got an issue of loose nukes. We've got an issue of Islamic extremists. And we have Osama bin Laden on the run. And there's no question that Americans are for justice. And we're not securing the country the way we should. Our resources are being depleted by a false policy. But I think the Democratic Party would be more than remiss if they were turn and say, we got to have peace at all costs. It may not be our choice. We have to defend ourselves. And for what?
From what?
From what? Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's important to go get bin Laden and his hoods in Afghanistan? You don't?
It is.
No, it's critically.
Well,
Ed is right. It's critically important.
I tell you, you're going to have to come. This is going to be a major campaign issue. How are the Democrats going to fight terrorism? And how are Democrats going to fight this? See, now everybody's getting their back up. There is no doubt that we are definitely, as a party and definitely as a country, going to have to resolve that what we're doing right now is not correct. But that doesn't mean we have to run from the problem that people do want to take us out. Now, what do you want to do about it?
All right.
Okay.
Let me add my 2 cents. My 2 cents worth. The United States, along with a couple other imperialist countries, have treated the Arabs like, excuse me, house niggers for the past 75 years, because they've had what we need, and that's oil. Now, why do the Iranians not like us? Well, let's start in 1953 when we overthrew their government and installed the Shah. Why do the Central Americans hate us? Well, let's start again with 1953 when we overthrew governments left and right. I disagree with Ed on this one. I don't think that there are Arab terrorists or Islamic terrorists who want to come here and destroy us because of who we are. I think they want us to get the hell out of what they consider to be their country, their sphere of influence. Now, it just so happens that I think I'm not a religious person. As a matter of fact, I don't like religion because I look at the history of humankind and I see we're ankle deep in blood all over the planet because of religion. That's just my opinion. But as long as we support the oppression of the Palestinian people, as long as we support the overthrow of Middle Eastern governments, as long as we back repressive regimes like, let me think of one. Oh, I got one, Saudi Arabia. As long as we do that, we're talking on this stage tonight about authentic leadership. Bullshit. Anyone that supports that kind, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, those are democratic countries. If George Bush is so interested in democracy, let's invade them. But we won't, because they cater, they help, they support us. So all this talk about Islamic terrorists, when did that start? Did that start when we armed them, when we fought a proxy war in Afghanistan against the Soviet? When did it start? Did it start in the 50s? Did it start after World War II when we carved up the Middle East? When did it start? What pisses me off is that people don't have a sense of history.
Well, but Mike, is it not totally fair? Those are all 100%. Those are all outstanding questions, and questions which have to be answered, and which smart people who have been banned from the Bush administration need to be asking. It doesn't, however, preclude what Ed was talking about. I mean, they go together, and it doesn't. And if you answer those questions thoughtfully, then maybe you'll have the beginning of a thoughtful policy to what Ed was talking about.
I'm not here to talk about Osama bin Laden in the first place. I don't even know that he really exists the way the CIA paints him. But what did he say? What did he say prior, I think it was prior to the attack, and I'm going to go into real thin ice here because I may piss all of you off. But what did he say? He said, we want justice in Palestine. We want the American army out of our holy places. That's Saudi Arabia.